Do I need to do a check 1, 2? Check 1, 2.
Welcome to the Instinctive Influencers podcast, a show where influence becomes one of your tools for success. Now, here are your hosts, Brian Weber and Ed Haley.
Hi, I'm Brian, and today I don't have Ed with me, but I do have a good friend of mine over here. We've met recently over the past couple months. I would love to show you the stats. Maybe I'll screenshot it in here. The stats of my physical life since I met him. It's kind of funny. I sent him a screenshot the other day, and it was pretty amazing to see how much more I've picked up. We're just wearing my watch while I work out and then watching my heart rate. So with me today, I have Justin Kline. Justin is from Illinois. We got to say it right. Yeah. And before we can actually introduce him, we have to do the one thing that I do with everyone. And this is called instinctive response, Justin. It is time for you to answer the questions. I've selected.
The real question is, are you ready for my answers?
Yeah, you may want to get closer to the mic.
Oh,
don't put your mouth on it. You can bring it back. It's okay.
I told you I was going to talk like this the whole time.
Yeah, that'll be loud. I'm good with the answers, but just realize I know how to edit. So number one, have you ever been in a newspaper?
Yes.
What for?
I was something of a stellar athlete throughout my school age years, and I made the paper quite often for athletic endeavors.
Really? Okay, so we're gonna move on then.
Okay.
Because I don't like to stick around on one topic. So what I do is we just jump back and forth. And then we'll get more into more of his information as we go along. All right. When you were a kid, did you have any posters on your wall? If so, what?
No, actually, I did not have any posters on the wall as a kid.
Really?
Yep. I mean, I can go into quite a bit of detail, but like my family was not very well off when I was a young child, and
you grew up like I did in a trailer.
Posters were money we didn't have, so we didn't have posters on the wall.
Yeah, no, I get you. I get you. I did once I got in high school.
My college dorm room. Well, let's just not even get into that.
We'll get into it.
Yeah, we'll avoid that.
If you wrote an autobiography, what would your book be called?
Oops.
Okay, so we're going to get into what oops means. All right, I'm going to just move on because I'm going to come back to these things because obviously we need more answers so we can further understand you. Who is? All right, so now 1208. What movie or book ending really left you hanging?
Vanilla Sky.
Vanilla Sky.
Tom Cruise and I can't think of her name. She's in Tom Cruise's with Night and Day. I can't think of her name.
I'll have to look that up.
But yeah, Vanilla Sky.
Is that the one who was with his former wife?
No, it's where he was dating a girl. He was super rich. Then he was in like a horrific car accident, and like they preserved his body, and he went into the future, and it was all weird.
I'll have to watch that.
I'm telling you right now, the ending will mess your brain up.
Really?
Yep.
Okay, I got you.
Yep.
Name your biggest what if.
What if? What if I had not committed 14 felonies? Where would I be right now?
Okay. He's not a bad person. I'm just going to let you know. That's his oops, right? What if I had not done that? I don't know. So we're going to move on then. 1448. Who is the most visionary person in your life and how do they inspire you?
Most visionary?
I selected these questions for a reason.
You know, this might sound super cheesy, but I would probably say, it's kind of mainstream right now, but I would say the most visionary person I can think of right now is Jocko Willink. Yeah. I mean, again, I listen to his podcast quite a bit.
Yep.
But, and I know you only see the public side of him, but like, I don't know, just the dude seems like he's got all his stuff together.
He does.
And he's got a lot of things going in the right direction right now.
He does. And it's funny. We talk about it on the show all the time, Ed and I, and because we're big fans of him also. I mean, I've got 2 of his books right here, and I got the other 2 on the other side, just because I'm a huge fan of him. So I feel like you're right. That whole origin thing, the podcast, the echelon front, like he has something going, and I think people can get a lot from that. All right, we're getting towards the end. We only got 4 questions left. What was your biggest aha moment or revelation?
I don't know. That's a good question.
Mm.
I don't know that I've had a. You know what? It wasn't my aha moment. It sticks out in my mind. It was on. It would have been my 3rd deployment. We were in Afghanistan, and we were in a firefight.
Mm-hmm.
And I had a young team leader with me, and a bullet literally bounced right between his legs.
Really?
And he looks at me, and he's like, "Holy cow, they're really trying to kill us." And for about 30 seconds, I almost fell down laughing, just so hard. I was like,
so
well,
his shocking moment made your shocking moment.
Yeah, I guess that would be, like, that's the biggest aha moment that I can think of in my life. I was like, it kind of made me think, like, maybe a lot of these younger soldiers don't understand really kind of the levity, but I was like, it was funny.
We'll see where things go with, but that's funny. It's one of those moments where you're in shock because they're in shock. So, all right, moving on. What is the most bizarre thing? Okay, before I even ask this, just be careful how you answer this. I'm sorry. I picked these out because I felt like they were the perfect thing for him. But now I think about this, like this one's gonna mess me up. By the way, if you notice, I've got kind of a mustache going on. He was supposed to grow one, didn't. So here we go. All right. What is the most bizarre thing you've ever Googled?
Most bizarre thing I've ever Googled?
Please don't.
You know, if you said you just searched down the YouTube rabbit hole, it could have got real weird. Google.
Good.
Yeah, that's probably.
Yeah. But you said YouTube though.
YouTube rabbit hole. There would be some weird stuff. But Google itself is too much browser history to go through and delete for Google.
No, I get you. Yeah. I totally get you. Here we go. What is the most useless talent you have?
I can wiggle my ears.
Let me see. Holy crap, I can. I can't do it.
It's pretty worthless.
This last one, I actually picked this one because I feel like we're going to go in this direction when it comes to talking today. I think we're going to go. I do believe we're going to go in this direction. So I think this is really where we're going to start our full conversation off at. What makes you feel unstoppable?
Besides steroids and drugs?
He's not taking steroids and drugs.
Cocaine.
No. Got to use the bleep button.
What makes me feel the most unstoppable? I would say, again, I know where you're going with this. When I get feedback from other people saying that whatever I'm doing has somehow inspired them to either start back up or they've got to a rough place in their life and they decided, seeing what I'm doing, like they're going to continue doing what they're doing. So just inspiration, me being an inspiration to others is what makes me feel, like I got to keep going. Okay.
So, and if you get an idea, so here's the idea behind my thought. One, I'm calling the show A Better Me. And it's really going to be about what Justin went through kind of life and stuff and how he created a better me or is in him. And how can we all create a better me as in us? And with that, and my dog, he likes to is he scratching his ears? Because he does that.
He was just,
he's right here.
I'm over it. Yeah.
Yeah. He'll scratch his ears and it's the weirdest noise. You're like,
it just feels that good.
Yeah. So you grew up in Illinois, mom and dad, you mentioned them, brothers and sisters. How many we got here?
I got 2 older brothers.
2 older brothers. So you're the youngest.
I'm the youngest.
Are you the mama's boy? I mean, in a sense, because that's often seen as the youngest, or is it something different?
I don't know if just I would call it the mama's boy.
Because she knows she's going to watch.
Oh, they'll both watch, that's for sure. I would say that I don't know if it's specifically mama's boy, but I got by with a lot more than what my brothers did.
Right.
I think at the point that where I was growing up, that my parents were kind of like, whatever, as long as he doesn't kill himself, he'll be okay.
Right.
And then my oldest brother was kind of a rebel.
Mm-hmm.
I was not. My middle brother, he wasn't great at school, but I was. So all the struggles they went through with my other two brothers, I didn't give them that struggle. So they were just like,
yeah,
we're going to leave him alone because he's doing okay.
We don't have to worry about him.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, it makes sense. It makes sense. I was the oldest, so I feel like your older brother, like I had to pave the way for the rest of them.
Oh yeah, I don't want to say he got abused, but he was definitely the guinea pig.
He was the guinea pig.
Yeah, just like my oldest son is like, we're figuring it out. So like sometimes he's the guinea pig, and then my daughter benefits from his misery.
Absolutely. And you had, well, we could jump forward, but I don't want to yet. I want you to tell us. You told me a story once about a bicycle and running smack into the side of your home.
Okay.
So what happened?
Okay, so we used to have behind our single wide trailer next to the under the bridge.
I know what that's like.
We had an old shed, and my dad had all of his old crap in there.
Right.
And he always had this 10-speed bike. And one day I decided I'm going to get this 10-speed bike to work, right? So I spent, I don't know how long, unkinking the chain and getting it all loose again and putting it all back together and getting everything. I made the bike. It would go. I could pedal it and the bike would go and it would shift. I don't know if it shifted great or whatever, but it would go. And it had the old suicide shifters.
Oh, down here on the
top tube.
Yeah.
Yeah, like it was an old school 10-speed, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I got it going and I, took off down the road away from the house, right? No big deal. It was kind of uphill. And then I turned around, whatever, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I turned around and I'm like, okay, great. Like I'm going to see how fast this thing goes. So I pedaled as hard as I could. And where we were at, literally by the bridge, like the sidewalk ended. So there was no more sidewalk. So
yeah,
I either had to stop or take a drink.
Yeah.
So I go to hit the brakes, and the one thing that I had not really worked on the bike was the brakes. So there was no stopping. It didn't matter. Either I was, as a young child, I wasn't strong enough, or the brakes just didn't really work.
Yeah.
The bike was not stopping. So instead of going into the pine tree or trying to avoid the ditch or going into the creek, I decided I was going to go into our yard and, here's the sidewalk, here's the yard, there's our house. I still did not stop. And, the house stopped me. Yeah. Like the front of the bike went right underneath the trailer. And then I guess you would say the handlebars hit the side of the trailer.
Right.
And obviously you're not seat belted on.
Yeah.
I'm in rural America. So we're not wearing helmets. So
we didn't back in the 80s. Come on.
Little Justin just dunks his head off the side of the house and then falls over. And the next thing you know, my mom comes outside. She's like, "What did you do?" And I explained the whole situation. She's like, "You're an idiot." And I was like, "Yeah, I don't disagree with you." And then went on with life.
That's funny. I want to bring that up because we have that's part of the oops, right? That's part of your oops story. We've had a lot of conversations, and a lot of us dealing with bicycles, running, and things, and we're going to get further into that. But it's almost like your start of the bicycle hunger that you have, right? Would you call it that?
I don't call it hunger.
You got a freaking hunger.
I think the bikes is a means to an end, but yeah. I don't want to call it hunger, but I like bikes. Yeah,
it's definitely tell. Like when I need stuff done on my bike, I take it to his place because you help me fix it. And I'm not that mechanically inclined when it comes to bicycles. I can fix a helicopter, but not a bicycle. Don't know why.
So not to ride a helicopter.
No, I'm pretty good on those. So here we are. We have this initial experience. First oops. There's probably more.
There were many more oops before that. But yeah.
Yeah, that's the one I know. So it's funny. So we go to that oops. We're continuing on the pathway for this book of oops. Do we go into high school and what life was like? Do you think that's worthy of an oops story?
I mean, it's your podcast, but
No, you're a guest.
I mean, my high school career was, or I don't want to say career. My high school time was, I mean, there were many more oops. When I was in high school, but it was rather uneventful. Like I was, like I said earlier, I was good at schoolwork.
So you were a decent student.
I mean, I was the voted the class clown. I had the third highest GPA.
I could see that
in the class.
Right.
I was a class president. Was president of the science club, vice president like the Spanish club. Like,
was it a big school? How many did you graduate with?
60.
Oh goodness, I graduated.
And it took 11 townships to make.
Okay, so you're really rural.
Yeah,
really
so
rural.
my town has had 600 when I was there. I think it's grown a little bit.
Wow.
The biggest town next to us was like maybe 1,000,
and
then there were like small, literally like villages. I mean, literally, my town was called the Village of Farina. It's not even a town.
Right. Yeah.
And it took 11 different like little townships to make a high school.
Wow. I mean, how far did you live from her?
From the high school?
Yeah. Oh, so you weren't far. You're saying townships.
So the high school was in my town.
Oh.
The middle school was in the town 5 miles up the road.
Mm-hmm.
The elementary was in the town up the road. So like the schools were like one town had some of them.
Right.
Because they took a whole bunch of townships that were separate
and
they merged them in one big like conglomerate. It used to be La Grove, Kimundi, Logatee, and then they put them all together and call it South Central. Sounds like we're in the middle of Chicago, but it was South Central. So they used those existing facilities they already had, and then just like the high school was already there in Farina at La Grove High School.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
So you graduated high school. You started college though, didn't you?
I did.
How long did you go to school for?
I did. I went to college for
2.5 years. What was it for?
Pre-med.
So you started that whole rigmarole.
I did. I did 2 years at Lakeland College.
How many classes did you actually get done in 2 years?
I had 90 credits.
You had an associate's degree.
I didn't have an associate's degree.
I mean, I'm talking about credits wise. You didn't get
credits wise. I could have had an associate's degree.
Okay.
But everything was like I did everything for the end game. I didn't really like do the associate's degree program to go into a bachelor's degree program.
Yeah.
I was going pre-med, so I was kind of
So you were
like stacking a lot of the harder classes at the easier college before I got to the
Okay, so you were building, yeah. See, that's how I looked at it too. Like somebody said, "Oh, you should have done an associate's degree," and I'm like, "Yeah, I just went straight for a degree," and then I kept going. Yeah, I get you. So you went for two years. During that time, is that when you met Lisa, your wife?
I did.
Okay, so during that period, you met her. We're going to talk about the oops of the 17 felonies, right? 14, 17, 14, 3. I mean, what's the difference? Did you meet her before that or after that?
After.
Okay, so tell us about this incident that brought you to the Army, obviously. No, I don't know if it brought you.
Well, so coincidentally, like we'd have to backtrack a little bit. So
go ahead.
To go to college, like I got a scholarship to go to college. It was an academic scholarship because obviously, I'm a genius. So I had an academic scholarship, and I was actually an ambassador for the college. So I went around trying to get other people, like a recruiter kind of thing. And I actually was in charge of the apartment building that I lived at. So like I was
like the manager.
They call them RA, basically like an RA. Like I didn't manage it, but I was there to like make sure that parties didn't get too crazy or whatever. Right?
Got you.
Even though I had parties in my apartment, I was probably the worst violator of all the rules. It didn't matter.
The things we did were real.
Yeah. So, but I was still kind of just, and I was bartending full time at TGI Fridays. I was a bartender. Right. So
lots of flair.
It wasn't the 21 pieces of flair.
I think of that all the time. Like, is that Waiting, the movie?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, which is so. I mean, I was making good money at the bartending. All my college was basically free.
Right.
But I decided I was going to join the National Guard.
Okay.
So I joined the National Guard.
What year was that?
I went to basic in 2000. I joined on my mom's birthday because I had screwed up and gave the recruiter my middle school diploma, not my high school diploma. And I had not told my mom.
Oh no.
No, yeah. So the recruiter, who had no better sense, he called my mom to get the high school diploma. Um, and she found out on her birthday that I had joined the army. I was actually at MEPS
When she found out?
when she found out.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
How did she
So,
take that?
yeah, I'm pretty sure she cried.
Oh, yeah.
She was pretty upset. It wasn't like I was going straight to basic after that. I was like
Yeah.
later or whatever.
But 9/11 already happened. 9/11
Yeah.
already took place, so
Yeah.
she knew.
Well, it would have been. Well, it was about a year afterwards because it would have been. I graduated high school in 2002. I think it was about 2003.
Right.
So it wasn't long after that. But I was joining the National Guard because I wanted to help pay for college.
Right.
Because I obviously knew that being pre-med was going to be a long process and a lot of college bills.
Expensive too.
All right. So I joined the National Guard. And then I actually met Lisa between the time that I'd signed up and the time that I left.
For basic.
For
right?
basic training.
Okay. All right.
So I went off to basic training. Me and Lisa obviously kept in contact. That was back in the day where you wrote letters.
Oh, I remember.
And the payphones, right, with the calling cards.
Yeah, I remember
and how
those.
cell phone things we got going on now.
Yeah. Just push him off.
But he's fine.
He's a Velcro.
So I got back from basic, right, and I'm still in college, doing my weekend of the month.
Okay.
Year or whatever, in the summer, and then one day, like, a common thing back where I'm from is they call it road tripping. You just go cruise around the backcountry roads,
Yeah.
doing
stupid stuff.
Mm-hmm. And then one night, it actually started out about noon. Me and a friend of mine, we decided that we were going to drive a long distance, stopping in every bar we could find and taking a shot.
Ooh.
So seeing how long we called it 45 shots on Route 45.
Ooh.
We ended up, me and him, we stopped doing stupid things around, 11 o'clock at night or so.
Oh my goodness.
And then I drove home, because he passed out. And I dropped him off at his house. And then on the way home, I had more friends. And we were going to continue to do stupid things.
Yeah.
Throughout the night, and somewhere in the middle of the night, we decided that knocking over mailboxes would be a great idea.
Yeah. Wow.
And somebody saw us and reported it. And it was dumb. It was a stupid idea.
Yeah. But it was a big oops.
It was a big oops.
What did that cause for you? Like,
I don't know.
Because you were in the service.
Well, I was in the National Guard.
Yeah.
Right. So I and I was still in college. At that point I was going to University of Illinois in Bloomington.
Whew.
Yeah. So I'd kind of moved a little further away from the family, and Lisa was actually staying with me.
Mm-hmm.
And it was dumb. It was real bad.
Yeah. But you obviously a better me. The story's about a better me. And we were talking one night. We were playing cornhole back and forth, and we were talking about different things. And so you can't. This is a low point. This is Justin at a low point because of what happened. But that's not your complete low point completely, because a little bit later on, and I want to get to that a little bit later on, but I want to hit up on the active, like you went active duty.
Yeah.
How was that transition though?
So I really thought active duty would be, honestly, I used going to active duty as a way to save me from probably going, I don't know what 14 federal felonies would have done.
Right.
I don't really know
right
how that really plays out. You know what I'm saying? Because I was an adult, like I was over 18. I don't know that I was even 20.
Woo! Wow.
So it was a lot of dumb things. Like, so kind of, I think going active duty was kind of like my first instinct to try to avoid a lot of trouble. I thought maybe the court would see that as like, okay, well, this guy's going to go fix himself. And we're not going to throw him in jail. And
so did they just kind of like say, hey, you have a chance? Or, I mean, was that what?
Well, I went to the kind of, the recruiters came with me. The active recruiters came.
We're not going to say their names because I don't know if that was legal.
I don't know if I can.
Yeah. I don't remember mine either.
Well, they came. They were just a representation. And like the judge even said, like, you really have no
Yeah.
But like, we're glad you're here, but
Right.
you can sit down because no one cares, kind of thing. Like they let the recruiter know.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I was there, I was like, and the guy explained it to it, and I'm pretty positive my parents paid a fine.
Really?
Yeah, they never told me if they did or not. I'm pretty sure they did.
Yeah.
I think they paid a large sum of thousands of dollars.
Do you think this is one of those moments where somebody looked at you and said, he's got some potential? Let's do you, I mean,
Your parents always think you got
no, no,
potential.
no, no, no. I'm talking about the court system.
I don't know. Maybe.
Because I've met people like, that's what I'm saying. Like, I've met people like that where it's like, and I've had that you've served long enough and you've been in senior role where you have a kid and they do something and you're just like, there's something more to them than this. This isn't
It could have
defined
been.
them.
I mean, like, I had never done anything
before that. Yeah.
So I mean, like, you would have looked at my record and been like,
yeah,
this is way beyond or way outside of like what this kid
absolutely
would normally do.
Yeah.
So maybe he did. Maybe the judge looked at it and was like, okay, this kid made a terrible mistake and he's going to go fix himself or whatever. And he was like, great. Go.
Yeah. It was a general oops.
Figure it out.
Yeah. That's good. So we go a little bit further. Pull your mic over. You don't have to worry about it. No, you just pick it up and move it. Yeah. That way. No, you just pick it up. There you go. It may.
Like this?
No, not that way. Anyway, I'm just trying to get, so we can hear him good. So we get into it. So we do videos sometimes, and he used to do that to me in the gym. We're downstairs, and I didn't think I see it, but I'm the one editing the video. I'm editing the video. I see everything, and then we got
did it because I knew he was editing the video.
Yeah, that's Ed does the same thing. Like sometimes people don't realize there'll be a split in the video. It's because I have to get him to go to the bathroom, and Ed will sit in here because he'll be right there on the screen, and he'll be talking about the most random garbage. I'm like, what are you talking about, dude? When I come back in. So all right, we go to that point. How long after that was it before you went active?
Oh man, it was.
Oh,
I mean, it would have been a few months.
Really?
Yeah.
Was it that situation that made you kind of, hey, I got to go do this? Or was it school, or was it combination?
So
the girlfriend, by the way, he's a great wife. She's a good person.
I had so like my first 2 years in college, like I loaded myself with a lot of, I was taking organic chemistry 1 and 2. I was like, woo. Well, I was taking A&P, anatomy and physiology 1 and 2. Like I was taking a lot of hard classes to get them out of the way. So when I went to the big university, I didn't have to take those hard classes.
Right.
Well, my guidance counselor, whatever I'm going to call her at U of I, or whatever, she was an idiot. Like she put me in a lot of classes. She put me in like a science class that talked about the 4 elements of like science being earth, wind, and fire kind of thing. And I was like,
earth, wind, and fire.
Yeah, I'm talking like the most basic courses you could ever be in. And I was like, someone was like, man, I was like, I've done organic chemistry 1 and 2. I've done microbiology. Like I've done all these advanced science classes. You're going to put me into a class that literally talks about earth, wind, and fire being like the 4 elements of the earth and how like science works. And she's like, yeah, it's a requirement. I'm like, there's no way. So like all the classes I was in was super easy. Like I never even went to class. I would literally show up for the test and pass the tests.
Because you already knew
Because
that.
I didn't. Yeah. So I started drinking a lot.
Oh.
Yeah. So
okay.
So my behavior just kind of like I didn't need to go to school, so I didn't go to school, and like I just made a lot of bad choices because I didn't have to put out any effort. So I occupied my time with
it's the
stupid things.
Yeah, it's the idle hands is the devil's playground.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Okay. All right. So with that, you felt as if though it's like I'm not being challenged, because we're going to get into being challenged, and I because I see that within you, and you started doing these crazy things, and then with that, I guess. Where did that go? Where does that go? Like, what's the mentality of where do you go with that? Because you weren't being challenged and you start doing these outrageous in a sense. Where did you go from there?
Well, it's like, because I mean, I really started to hate school. The first time I hated to start, I started to hate school. And then just like my hatred of school,
waste of time.
It was a waste of time.
Yeah. Okay.
All that stuff. And then like, I went home and obviously made a really stupid choice. 14 stupid choices.
Right.
I thought, screw this. College is dumb. I don't want to do this anymore.
Okay.
It seemed like going active duty was the answer to all my problems.
Okay.
And so I don't know that I even really talked to Lisa about it. I may have. I can't.
Well, you were still dating at the time, right?
I mean, we were living together.
Okay.
Yeah, we were living together.
I mean,
in
it's,
Bloomington.
yeah, it was serious. Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. So it seemed like going active duty was like the answer to all my questions
Well, I mean, you're still
or
in.
all my problems.
You're still in. So, I mean,
Yeah. I mean, it worked out.
So, when you were in the National Guard, were you an infantryman then also?
Yeah.
So your entire career has been around being an infantryman then?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So you go active duty, and because you'd already done the base training / AIT, do you just go to your first unit?
It was weird. So I had to go back through MEPS.
Okay. Yeah.
And then they sent me to Fort Leonard Wood.
Okay. Oh,
I spent
integration
about 30 days at Fort Leonard Wood.
Yep.
Before I went to my first duty station over in Hawaii.
Yep.
And I actually ended up working at Fort Leonard Wood. And like me and another group, we were part of the in-processing of new trainees to Fort Leonard Wood. So at night. So we'd work from like 2000 at night till like 4 a.m. to 04.
Really?
Like the trainees that came in overnight, like we would bring them in, we would dump all their bags, we would in-process them.
Are we talking basic trainees?
Basic trainees.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it was super weird because here I am like a PFC, right? Which was super weird too because I forgot to mention while I was at the University of Illinois, I was in the ROTC program.
Oh, you were?
I was. That was another big giant turnoff. Because I had been through basic training and already done like some training with the National Guard, like the other cadets that I was with.
Yeah.
And then the instructor, I was probably more intelligent and better at Army things.
Well, because you had the experience.
Yeah, even though he was an actual master sergeant in the Army.
Yeah.
He didn't even know how to hold a compass. It was mind-boggling. So, it really kind of turned me off to the college. And, again, I had a terrible experience at university, Illinois State University.
It almost, and it's weird. I guess it almost feels like you were pointed in a direction, right? Like fate pointed you in this direction, like through these crazy little instances. So you're at Leonard Wood. You're there for, you said,
it was about 30 days.
30 days. Okay, 30 days.
I left January 6th, and I think I ended up getting to Hawaii, my first duty station, at the beginning of February.
So hold on. So we're a kid out of Illinois. We go to Leonard Wood. Leonard Wood's it's pretty much
in the winter. It was terrible too.
Yeah, it's horrible. Yeah,
so cold.
Did you ever go to Uranus and get the fudge?
No, that's not.
Is that Leonard Wood? Yeah.
No.
Yeah, down the road.
Because that's on our way home from my house to here.
Uranus is down the road from Leonard Wood.
Maybe it is.
It is. You never went.
I've never been to Uranus to get fudge.
Look it up. There's a place called Uranus, and it's the fudge factory. It's hilarious. Yeah. I learned about it from my buddy. He taught me about it, and then we stopped when I had to go to training. I had to do a training there. Anyway, so we're talking about a kid. No big city life really before, from the country, and now you're on your way to Hawaii. Are you married yet?
That's a discussion for another day.
Oh, we won't touch that. Okay, but you go to Hawaii.
Yeah.
Was that a culture shock?
It was interesting.
Really?
Yeah, I mean, it was. Again, the biggest town I was from was or I've been to is my wife's. I mean, I've been to, obviously to St. Louis, which is not far from our house, like a Cardinals ball game or whatever. I'd touched the city,
but it's
I never
different.
Lived in and it was different. It was definitely different than the middle of Illinois. Was farmland country. It was definitely.
Mm-hmm. Was that where the insatiable hunger of the endurance stuff came in? Okay, so that's later on, right?
Yeah, that's much later.
Okay, so you're there in Hawaii, you do your thing. How long before you go to the Ranger School? From this point, because I'm trying to get a grasp.
2.5 years.
Okay, so you get a little time under your belt.
So I got to Hawaii beginning of February, and we ended up deploying in August.
Okay. Oh, you weren't. Yeah.
Yeah, it took about
less
30
than a
days
year.
for Lisa to get there too. So I was there beginning of February. She didn't get
Oh.
there till. And actually, did she even come out?
You don't remember?
Because
So long ago.
I don't know how to answer this.
No, it's fine. I mean,
No, because we got married March 25th.
uh-huh. And then
So I'm trying to think if she even came out before that. I don't remember. I don't think. I think she stayed back.
I have to remind my wife.
I think
now.
I went, and I think I flew back for the wedding, and then she came out for the first time.
Right.
Maybe
Yeah. Well, because that's not your first time in Hawaii, though, is it?
that was my first time.
No, I'm sorry. That's not your only time. Was that your only time?
No,
You went back again,
we
though.
went back.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
So you did a deployment. Was Afghanistan, Iraq?
Iraq.
Yeah. What did you think about that when you were there?
My first deployment.
Hold on, real quick. None of our opinions is that of the Army or anything we do, because we go to school together. So I just want to make sure, because I know we're going to get into some opinionated. The reason I say this, so that was my first deployment. My first deployment was Iraq. It was during the invasion, and it was my first culture shock into that lifestyle. Right, understanding something outside of America, and it reinvigorated my love for my country when I came home. Do you know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah.
I was just curious, like, what your experience was. Like, what did it do to young Justin to make you a different person today? Because you are, in a sense, in our conversations, you're a better person than you were years ago, right? So what did that do to you?
Well, my first deployment, it was rough.
Really?
Like, we were the city that was just outside of our fob.
Right.
Was the Wild West. Like, it was Wild West. Like,
What years was that, would you say?
06?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
That was during the big time surge.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, so it was the Wild West. And like,
Yeah.
every time you went out, it
Right.
was,
No, I
it
get
was
it.
a good time.
Yeah, we're not
Right?
going to use like names, places, stuff
Yeah,
like that. But
so-
yeah.
And I mean, like, the people, I mean, the villages weren't in great shape.
No.
So obviously
No.
you're like, these people live, and not even like a poverty line. Like, it is mud huts and like,
Yep.
I mean, there was one road in the town that was called, well, ironically, we called it All American Road.
I think I know where you were.
It was nothing but sewage.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was like, I mean, like, it was, I mean, like, that
On
was
e-
like a road like people use
yeah.
all the time. It was like, it was bad. I mean, I'm pretty sure that's every
It
sewage
stunk.
road in every town in Iraq.
Stinks
Because
to
of
high
it.
heaven.
Yeah, it's like, it was like a level of, you're just like, I can't believe that human beings live like this.
But what did that do to
And
your
they were
mindset?
okay with it, right? But
Yeah.
then you think about it, and then obviously when you go back home,
Yeah.
and you're like, you see people complaining like, oh my goodness, my Wi-Fi signal doesn't work that great. And you're like, for a while after you get back from deployment, you just want to be like, I want to punch you in the face.
Yes.
Yeah, it takes you a while, and
Yes. Yes.
then
But we're considered angry people because, and it's like, no,
Yeah.
you don't realize
yeah,
what I've seen. So what, and that's what I was getting at. I was like, what did that do to you, your mindset? Like, did you shift gears? Did you change the way you were? Like, did anything influence you?
so
With that.
I didn't have. I mean, I was such a young soldier
Right.
that I didn't have. I don't know. I didn't really know what the mentality was to be. Like, I was the RTO, so I was kind of, I was kind of removed from like the platoon because I was the RTO. I was always with the commander, or not the commander, the platoon leader and the platoon sergeant. Like, I
Right.
was kind of, which was great because I always knew what was going on, and I was,
Mhm.
But like I said, our deployment was hard. It was like we lost a lot of people.
Yeah.
IEDs were terrible.
Yes.
So I think I learned that taking care of your brothers left and right was more important
Yeah.
than really kind of the other stuff.
Yes.
Like, because at any moment, that person could be,
Mm-hmm.
you could be shoveling that dude into a body bag
Yep.
later on. And we did. We had to, there were
Yeah.
dudes we had to shovel in body bag. And so you kind of learn, like, taking care of them and taking care of their family, making sure they're okay.
Yeah.
Is more important than some of the other stupidity.
Yeah.
That the Army just kind of brings.
Yeah, I mean,
the
it's
way it is.
yeah, and I think that's in any business because we talk a lot about just businesses in general. It's weird how we go the extra mile for a soldier, but in the civilian sector they don't do that. And sometimes is it worth it? Sometimes it's not. It just depends. But what you're saying is now you're looking at it as a reflection of like, holy crap, I got to grow up. Or I've got to, I mean, obviously I know what it's like to be a young soldier.
Our first patrol out, a guy got killed. It
Yeah.
was our first patrol out.
Right.
And like you learn, like, it's not even like I need to grow up. It's like you leave the wire as a kid and you come back a man. Like, it's that fast.
You ever see those pictures? It's funny. I bring this up sometimes for my friends. Those pictures of like the before and after pictures of a person who was at war. Like, especially like, I want to say it's World War II. They have some really good pictures where it shows them before. They have this light. And then after, it's just like this darkness over them. I don't know. To me, that's a big thing. All right. So we go, we deploy, we come back, right? You go back to Hawaii.
Yeah.
You stay there for a little while.
So we got back. So we got still home. Ironically, we were supposed to do a 12-month deployment.
Right.
And we were packing to go home. And we found out from, I think it was Yahoo News, that we got extended.
It was this the 15-monther?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So literally, like, had to unpack stuff to do like another 3 or 4 months to pack our stuff up to come home again. So that was pretty rough.
Yeah. That's a punch in the gut.
Yeah. So we left in August 2006, and we didn't get back until I think it was like December of 2000.
Wow.
And again, I'd been married for a whopping 6 months and left my wife in Hawaii by her lonesome.
She was just
for 15 months.
Yeah. Was she a nurse then?
She was.
Okay, so she was probably working and stuff too. Yeah, and obviously
she found a good group of friends.
Support group.
Yeah, they all hung out along together while we were all gone.
I think that's a big thing, right? It's like having that support group for them when we're away. It to me, it's a huge thing. Like, all my deployments, I got lucky. Except for the last one, Michelle was always home, so she had her parents there. Right. Yeah. This last one, she stayed, but we had an amazing support group. Our man crew, we called them, but it was just the street we lived on. All right, so we come home after 15 months. You've been punched in the gut because you lost men. You've at the same time you got told you got to stay longer. So now we could lose more people. We got all these things. We come home. Did you notice a change in you when you came home?
I don't know. I don't know that I would have said I would notice a change in me. That'd be a question for Lisa.
I think I'd like her to answer that sometime, man.
I'm sure I did change. All of us, it was 15 months. You can't stay the same person.
No, yeah, no, and
that's what you see.
Yeah.
But we were still fairly young, so I think and I was ready to enjoy the island. Like, when we got back, like, everybody's like, "Hey, I'm in Hawaii." Like, I want to go enjoy my time, and we did. Did
you learn how to surf and stuff?
I never learned how to surf.
Yeah, I'm not a fan of the water anyways. All right, so you're in Hawaii, you move from Hawaii, you go somewhere else.
Nope.
No. What did you do?
So we literally get back, and then we basically start to train up for the next deployment.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so we started doing all the regular stuff. We were doing EIB, so doing the training for EIB, and then I go to BLC or WLC back then. Whatever.
What year?
In 08.
I think that was still.
Was it still BLC?
WLC. It was WLC. Yeah, because they changed it to All right, got to move you. Go.
So I go to WLC.
Yeah, WLC. Yep.
I do that.
The warrior leader course.
Yeah, I go to WLC, come back from that, and then not long after that, I go to Ranger School.
What year?
08.
08. Okay.
So I started actually July 7th of 2008.
Mm-hmm.
It was hot.
Was it?
It was hot for Benning.
What did you think about it? Like, when you got there, like, what was
I knew it was gonna be hot.
No, but like, because it's a shock anytime we go to a school, right? But that's a different type of school that you're supposed to be put in shock.
Well, so the 25th ID has a pre-ranger program,
right?
So they did everything they could
to prepare
you for it.
Yeah.
You obviously can't get the weather. They didn't try to kill you with like physical fitness. They were more centered around giving you the skills to be successful.
Right.
So they did a good job of that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there's only so much we were allowed to talk about with the course, but basically, to get an idea of it, it's a small group leader course, correct?
Basically, yeah.
Yeah, it teaches you these leadership skills in the small group.
It's essentially it shows you how, as a leader, to make people do things they don't want to do when they are extremely hungry and tired.
Right. Okay.
While you are extremely hungry and tired. Like, how do you motivate people to do what they don't want to do?
Okay. When you came, so you go through that. Is there any experiences during that you want to share? Or you'd say like, hey, you know what? It was a good time. I learned X, Y,
it
and
was
Z.
your
Yeah.
regular Ranger School experience. I recycled mountains. That was pretty rough to make that phone call back.
Really?
To call Lisa, like, hey, like I failed and I got to do mountains again. So my 62-day school is going to be 90 some days now.
So I want to fast forward real quick. You said you failed mountains. Mm-hmm. Isn't that where you went and worked later?
I did.
We're going to talk about that because that
was ironic.
I think that's funny.
There's a lot of irony in all of that, but yes.
Well, this is what I'm saying. Like, I'm seeing this pathway, right? As I watch, I'm like, oh my goodness, like there's reasons he went here. He did this. He did, you know what I mean? Like it's that destiny thing. So you fail the mountains and you have to redo that phase of it. Mm-hmm. Like, was that another punch in the gut for you?
Honestly, it was weird because the first time through mountains was hard. Like,
really?
It was hard. Like we didn't sleep. Like I don't know that we slept more than 45 minutes a night.
Right.
And we walked forever. And basically half of my company recycled that phase.
Is it a lot of climbing? Is it because you say you walk for a lot? So it's a lot of like, because I know we hike on weekends all the time. Is it like where you're getting on something you're climbing up, or is it more just a long?
No, both.
Real okay.
Yeah, it depends on the day.
Yeah, because
back as a ranger instructor, like there are days where you do a lot of up a mountain.
Yeah,
but there's a lot of days where you just walk. But I mean, the worst part of it is like you're carrying 90 plus pounds on your back, so it doesn't matter if you're walking 4 kilometers in a day.
You're going to be tired.
90 pounds sucks, and especially if you only slept 45 minutes the night before.
Yeah, and then you're definitely feeling that point of breaking almost. So, all right, so you fail that, but you complete it.
Yep.
Obviously, you didn't fail any other phases, though. Obviously,
no. The second time through mountains was a cakewalk. I don't know if it was because you knew what was going on, like the insight, and then you just did it in the next phase. I don't know if it was that,
right? But
then went down to Florida, and I had fun in Florida.
I've heard that. I've heard that a lot from people. Yeah. You graduate in 2008. Mm-hmm. You go back to Hawaii.
Graduated on my brother's birthday.
Oh, snap!
In September.
Nice.
And I go back to Hawaii, and then I deployed in November.
No way.
To Iraq.
Go get back.
Yep. So I spent a whopping about 30 days, a little over 30 days at home with my wife. And then I went back to Iraq.
Oh my goodness. What did she think?
No, I'm sure she was super stoked about it.
She probably was.
Yeah.
Like my dog won't leave us alone. Like go, look, he's doing, go. Like he's putting his paw on me. He's such a distraction. Like he has to have the attention. Anyways, so we go to Iraq again. We get to spend time with wife for only a little bit. We went.
It wasn't out of nowhere though. She knew like the unit deployed in September, but I was in Ranger School.
Mm-hmm. Oh,
so she knew the unit left. She knew that I was going to go. Mm-hmm. Just how fast? Yeah, unless she really knew.
Wow.
But I got back, got to spend. They let me. They gave me 30 days to basically recover from being beat up for 90 days in Ranger School.
Well, yeah. That they should be doing that.
Yeah.
So you end up going back into Iraq. Were you located same area, different area?
So we went to a different area, and it was a lot different. It was really kind of the start of the drawdown where they're starting to break the bases down.
Oh yeah,
there wasn't a lot going on in our area.
Yeah, because we closed it around 2010. I think was everything got closed down December.
Yeah,
2010.
somewhere around there. But we were like our scout platoon had got pulled. I was in the scouts now. Mm-hmm. We got pulled, and we were training a local police force to guard an oil refinery.
Okay,
so we were doing that. So we were doing a different mission than what the rest of the battalion was.
Do you think, so from your first experience, like the way that could have influenced you, and then also the Ranger School, your first experience, obviously you were with the heads of your platoon. So you kind of seen more, heard more, and then you go to the Ranger School. And then when you go back the second time, do you think that helped you in understanding how to be the leader you needed to be? Because were you a sergeant now?
I was a sergeant.
Yeah. So do you think those were key elements that helped you be the leader you needed to be at that time?
No.
I
don't think it really clicked until later on. Until I got to actually left Hawaii. I think the groundwork was laid.
Okay.
But I didn't see it. And I didn't really need it. I didn't really, again, kind of the mission we were doing on the second deployment, like, I don't know, it was weird. I don't know that I really had to use a lot of leadership skills.
Right. Yeah, it was a little bit different.
We were just doing like a
Yeah.
security mission and a little more laid back. I don't say it was laid back, but it wasn't. It wasn't like it was the first deployment where it was the Wild West. Like this was.
Yeah. Yeah. I noticed that drawback that way too, in both Iraq and Afghanistan. So you do that deployment. That was a straight 12-monther though, right? Or 9.
Kind of. About month 11, my appendix burst.
Oh,
Yeah. So,
really?
Yeah. So
Did you go to Germany?
eventually, yeah. So my appendix burst and I go to the aid station. I literally crawled across a gravel parking lot because I couldn't stand up. I was in so much pain. And the medic, ironically, like he was poking around me and he's like, and I was like, man, I think my appendix is burst. He's like, and he's poking on my left side. Right?
Yeah.
And he's like, well, you're not sensitive over there. I'm like, I think my appendix is on the other side. He's like, no, it's over here. I'm like, okay, man. Like, I'm not a genius, but okay, great.
But you
like,
went to school for
so-
that.
right? So I was in pain. So he gives me, I don't know, whatever he gave me didn't work. I was still in a lot of pain. She's like, hey, like we gotta medevac this guy out.
Right.
So they put me in the back of a MRAP and drive me.
And all those bumps.
Because we're in a tiny little base. We're in the middle of the oil refiner. So they
Yep.
drive me like 45 minutes to the main base.
Right.
And the PA or doctor, wherever he was, he gets in there and he pokes him on the right side.
Uh-huh.
And I damn near kill him.
Oh, you came on glue.
Oh, yeah. And I was like, I'm like, oh, hey, man. And he goes to do it again. And I was like, don't you dare.
Yeah.
And he was like, okay, great. He's like, I hoped he was going to do that. I was like, what are you talking about? He's like, if it was a fake pain, he's like, you wouldn't have protected it. He's like, you were very protective of it, which means it's a real pain.
Yeah.
I was like, no kidding, it's a real pain. And it wasn't a couple minutes later. He's like, I'm pretty sure your appendix is ruptured.
Mm-hmm.
And we're medevacing you out. And like there were birds landing like right away. Like
Yeah.
I got taken to the big fob and
Did they do the surgery there on one of those big ones?
Or did. Cobb Spiker.
So, I know Spiker. Yeah.
So I got my appendix removed arthroscopically. It gets better. At Cobb Spiker. And so that's all done. And then they're trying to get me. And this is a few hours after Cobb Spiker or after my surgery. They're trying to put me on a C-130 to go to Balad. To whatever, right? I hadn't even peed yet. You know how I was supposed to like pee and all that stuff?
Yeah. Because you got to clear it.
Yeah, I hadn't even peed yet, right? So I hadn't went to the bathroom. And I'm already getting on this plane. Well, stop that. I called Lisa to let her know. She hadn't been told. Like I had already been medevaced, had surgery, and was out of surgery, and she didn't even know anything had happened. So like I'm calling her like post surgery, and she's like freaking out. Like so she makes me freak out. And like, like she hadn't even got the phone call yet.
Right.
So it was kind of a hard call for her. But I get on the C-130, and it's not a direct flight from Spiker to Balad. It's the one that bounces around the entire country.
Those rounds.
So here I am, freshly out of surgery, landing and taking off on a C-130. And that's not a gentle ride.
It's the worst.
Well, about halfway through the plane trip, I got to go pee. Yeah. But like my body's not ready to pee. Like it hadn't come out of the anesthesia. So I'm in excruciating pain because...
Yeah.
So for 30 minutes on a C-130 bouncing around in the air, they're trying to put in a Foley catheter.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
Oh.
So, and it didn't work. They never could get it in because my bladder was too full.
Really?
Yeah. So here I am. I'm just dying. I'm some of the worst pain I've ever been in my life. Right.
Wow.
So we eventually landed somewhere, and I said, "Give me one of those little like urinal things that's got the little handle and stuff."
Yeah.
And I walked to the side of the C-130 and I grab onto the, like where the seats latch, those bars.
Yep.
And I grabbed the handle, and there's literally a civilian lady. She's like next to me, like I'm pretty much touching her with my legs. She's that close, and I just pull my gown over and I peed the most disgusting looking
blood,
whatever you want to call it, into that thing. Yeah. And then I hand it to him. I'm like, okay, great. And then I lay back down on the stretcher.
You felt better though, didn't you?
Oh, I felt fantastic.
So I had
the pain didn't go away.
Oh, you will, yeah.
Because I had an abscess.
Oh, really?
So when I get the blood, I'm still in excruciating pain.
All right.
And they come to find out that I had an abscess, and I had to go back into surgery again
to take care of that.
Take care of the abscess.
Wow. And that's not like something you can just see either. So they had to figure it out.
They were trying to get me to drink whatever that contrast fluid is.
Yep.
To do a CAT scan and like I'm in excruciating pain.
Yeah.
I don't feel like drinking. And they give me 2 liter bottles, like
Yep.
60 ounces of this.
Yep.
I'm like, you're high. Like, there's no way I'm drinking this. Like, well, if you don't drink this, you're not going to get this CAT scan.
Yeah.
I was like, me and this nurse are about to have it out.
So you get this surgery, you go through this, you had to recover. Where did you go to recover?
So I spent a couple days at Balad on a morphine drip, which was fantastic.
Oh, I wouldn't doubt it, because
Yeah.
they don't regulate as much.
No.
Yeah.
No. Well, I will say this. It was on a little, you could click the button, but it only deliver so much at a certain time.
Yeah.
So if you clicked it 10 times, it would give you 10 doses over whatever time period.
Yeah.
So I was at Balad for a couple days, and then I went to Launch Stool for a couple days.
Okay.
And I was stuck there longer than I was supposed to be, because it was a holiday weekend.
Right.
So I got stuck there because there was no flights out. And so I literally got on a flight. After that, I flew from Launch Stool all the way back to Hawaii.
Okay, so you didn't end up going back into Iraq then?
No.
Okay, all right.
No, because everybody was redeploying. Like, the unit was
they were already doing it.
They were basically starting the shipping home. So I just, instead of going with them, I went through
okay, all right.
the medical channels.
So finally, you get to go home and spend time with your new wife, because basically she's new.
Essentially, yeah. Well, I think I finally got back in September.
Right. So you get back. Do you guys stay there a little longer, or
We PCS in January?
Where'd you go?
Fort Bragg.
Oh yeah.
Which I was not airborne qualified. So on our way from Hawaii to Fort Bragg, I had to go to airborne school.
Did you?
Yeah.
So you do the airborne school and all that stuff because you have to be at Bragg.
Yeah, they were trying to send me to Fort Riley, and I was like, that's not happening.
Woo, Kansas in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah, nope.
Yeah, I've been there. So you're probably still a sergeant, staff sergeant somewhere in there around this time?
Staff sergeant. I just made staff sergeant.
Right. Okay. But do you, after the Bragg thing, is that when you finally go to be an instructor?
After my deployment after
Fort
my
Bragg.
deployment.
Where'd you go where'd you deploy when you were at Bragg? Afghanistan. Okay. So you got to experience both. It's a different mind. It's different. It's weird.
So our deployment was quite a bit different too.
Yeah.
We were the first unit to do that team up with the soft forces.
Yeah.
So we were the first ones that did that. So my deployment was completely different than anything we would have done anyway.
Was that like 11, 12?
Yeah.
Because I think we talked about this before, and during 11, 12, I was down in Kandahar and you were somewhere else.
Sarpol.
Yeah. So we were there at the same time. It's just
Swedes.
Yeah. It was who?
The Swedes.
Oh yeah. I didn't even remember the Swedes, but I met the Polish, and those guys are crazy. I don't know how the Swedes are.
Swedes were.
Were they? Yeah.
Oh my god.
It's a good time meeting those other cultures.
Yeah.
And how they effectively engage the enemy. I'll say it's effective. Some of it. So you do your deployment. So you've now experienced both, because obviously we were at war for 20 years. You come back. When you come back, is that when you come down to become an instructor?
Yeah. So while I was on deployment, like a very large portion of our battalion got orders to go be instructors. So
no way.
At one point we had, I can't remember the exact number. I think we had 90 enlisted Rangers in our battalion.
Okay.
And it was like 40 of us all got orders to go be instructors.
Okay. All right. Well, I'm alluding to there's a point. You showed me a picture of you, and I didn't believe it at first. I didn't think that was you. And so I actually looked at the face and I was like, oh, that is you. Was that when you were an instructor?
I think someone from when I was at Fort Bragg.
Okay. So that's when you started getting heavy, right? How heavy did you end up getting?
I think 225 was the heaviest I ever weighed.
I'm 225. And I'm at least 3 inches taller than you, maybe, right? And let's just give a reference. What do you weigh now?
About 188.
That's huge. That's huge. You reached
this.
Yeah, exactly, right? You reached that, right? There was a mindset. There was a mind shift on your part that said, I got to change. But you didn't just go in. You went all in.
Honestly, it was like, you never heard the saying that like the laziest people are the most efficient?
Mm-hmm.
That was me. I was lazy. It was because I was lazy is the reason it all started.
Right.
And I've always kind of had one of those, call it an addictive personality. Like if I do something, like
Oh, it's addictive.
I'm all in it.
Yeah.
Like I'm not. I don't just like. I'm gonna kind of do it. Like if it's like I'm
Mhm.
gonna do it, I'm gonna do it. Like it's kind of all in, and it drives my wife crazy sometimes.
Oh
But,
yeah, my wife same way.
yeah, but
Do-
yeah,
So when you did, so this is, so you made this conscious decision. Hey, I got to lose weight. I got to do this thing. Is that when you started to get into the endurance stuff?
kind of. So I was never really into fitness. Well, when I was in high school, like I said, like I was really fast. I was a
Mhm.
really good runner.
Right.
Short distances. I ran short distances. I was 100, 200, 400 guy.
Right. Sprinter.
Basketball. I played basketball all the time.
Still sprinting.
Yeah. So like I lettered in varsity all 4 years in baseball and basketball. I won state in a bunch of track meets, and when I was in middle school, like I was really athletic through high school, and then like college, I didn't. I got into drinking, and I just didn't.
Right. Right.
And then even when I was in Hawaii, like we were deployed so much, no one really cared about physical fitness.
No,
Like we stayed fit, but like
Yeah.
we didn't. It wasn't the same.
it was a weird, different fitness.
And then even when I went to Fort Bragg, like I was fit enough to get by. Like
Right.
I was enough that like I was like higher up
Yeah.
in how you rack and stack.
Yeah.
So I didn't really have to put out any effort. And when I got to be a ranger instructor, like we have to do, as a ranger instructor, I don't know if it's still this way, you had to do the 12 miler and the RPFT
How often?
every 6 months.
Okay. All right.
And just along with it just absolutely sucking, walking up and down the mountains all the time. The 5 mile route was up Black Farms Road,
Mhm.
and it's a 2.5 mile uphill on a dirt road.
How much elevation gain do you think that is?
It's
You said
shit.
2.5 miles elevation
It's
gain.
terrible.
Is
I don't
it?
know what it is, but it's terrible.
He defines as terrible.
If you hit the turnaround at 22 minutes
Yeah.
for a 40-minute 5 miler,
Right.
you were doing good.
Really?
Yes.
Oh wow. And I've run with you, so I kind of know.
Yeah.
I understand. All right.
So I hated running.
Right.
I hated running.
That's how I
Probably
feel.
because I was big.
Amen.
I hated running. I just didn't want to do it.
Yeah.
Right. So I was like, how can I get in better shape without running? And then the North Georgia mountains are loaded with some of the best mountain bike trails
Right. Right.
anywhere in the U.S.
So was that was your entrance into that type of
so
lifestyle?
I was like, hey, I'm going to ride my mountain bike.
Right.
I'm going to get a mountain bike and I'm going to ride it, and I'm going to get that's going to help me not have to run all the time.
Right.
And I liked mountain biking. I like.
Yeah.
It
It's
was.
fun.
And then I can't remember if somebody suckered me into it or if I saw it, but it was the Southern Cross Gravel Grinder. It was a 60-mile mountain bike race up by the ranger camp.
Really?
Yeah.
Is it a decent trail, or is
It
it
was
like?
a lot of fire break roads and
Okay.
regular roads, and there were some single track and stuff like that.
Is it much like what we ride out here?
No.
Okay. Okay. So
No.
wider.
It was more road.
Okay. Okay.
Just a lot of.
All right. All right.
So I kind of trained up for that, and I liked it. It was 5 hours of suffering on a mountain bike.
The addiction starts.
Yeah, and then so I started looking for more of those kind of races,
Right.
more mountain bike races, and it tied into just doing research. You're like, okay, well, road cycling helps build endurance for mountain biking. So I bought a road bike, and I started riding my road bike.
Right.
So I was doing both of those, and then I got fairly good. Obviously, when you're cycling, you any kind of cardio, you start to lose weight.
Mhm.
So I did a lot of mountain biking and road biking, and I did races around the area and stuff too.
Right. How many races did you win? Did you win any of those?
I don't think I ever win. Maybe I did. It's been a while.
But I mean, you did well.
I did well. I was typically on the podium for my age group.
That's good. Yeah. And so you start doing that. Then I don't see how the running and swimming came into effect, and the love for the ultras and the Ironman.
The PCS started, right?
Ah.
So I leave the ranger camp,
right?
And we go back to Hawaii, and I was like,
2 times in Hawaii.
Yeah,
this is insane.
It was. No, I don't know about that, but anyway, so we go back to Hawaii, right?
Right.
So I'm like, this is great. Like, no big deal. I like Hawaii. But there's no mountain biking in Hawaii. Well, I don't say there's none.
It's just not as easy.
there's not very much.
Yeah.
And like, or at least I couldn't find it. Or I think there was some on the east side of the island, but like I wasn't driving 45 minutes or whatever. I didn't get into mountain biking, but I was road cycling.
Okay.
So I was like, okay, well, I'll just ride my bike like it's no big deal.
Mhm.
And then I happened to see, but I still kind of have the itch for endurance stuff.
Okay.
So I was trying to figure out like, what am I going to do next? So I saw, it was the Haleiwa Triathlon. I think we got there. Man, I think we got there in January again. I think we got there early January. And the Haleiwa Triathlon is the first one of like the triathlon season in Hawaii, and it's in March.
Mhm.
It's the end of March.
Okay.
Okay, I'm gonna do this.
You're like, I'm in.
So it was like triathlons. Like I can swim. I'm obviously really good on the bike, and I'm a decent runner. So like I'll do this, right? So I did. It was a sprint triathlon. It's a 500-meter swim.
Okay.
12-mile bike, and like maybe a 5K. Like it's real short.
Right.
So I did it, and I was hooked.
Real that like sunk you in.
Yeah, I was like, this is cool shit. Even though, so if you've never done a triathlon swim, like a mass start, and it's really weird because I was just listening to a Jocko podcast where somebody was talking about their first triathlon swim start, and he was a Navy SEAL, and he's like, it is the scariest thing I've ever done in the water.
Really?
Yes.
Is it because there were so many people?
It is literally, I don't know how big a race is, but the Haleiwa Triathlon probably had, I don't know, maybe 100 people.
Uh-huh.
There's 100 people trying to simultaneously drown you.
Oh,
Because
I've heard about that.
Everyone is trying to swim.
Over the
You're
top
so
of you.
tight. So like, you're trying to swim, like you're trying to, swing your arm, but you're hitting another person's body. You're trying to kick, but you're kicking someone else, so they're slapping your feet. Like,
oh wow,
yeah, it was terrifying. Like for me,
that's insane.
Yeah.
Were you a decent swimmer then though?
I'm not as good as I thought I was. I'll tell you that.
You realize
It changed my mind about my swimming ability.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. So you did that. You do all that. You probably did a few different races while you were there. You did an Ironman while you were there, right?
I did. So yeah, I got hooked. Like I love triathlon, so I started swimming more. I started making like actual swim workouts where I would go to the pool and swim.
Right.
Obviously cycled a boatload, and I started running more because obviously you need to swim.
Mhm.
You need to run.
Yes.
So I started doing triathlons, which encompasses swimming, biking, and running. So I started doing all of that. So I did multiple races. And then obviously triathlons increase in distance. You have like your sprints, you have your Olympics,
Right.
and you have like half Ironman. Like I haven't done a full Ironman yet, but like I did half, like but it's a half marathon.
Right.
And then there's a lot, like Hawaii is great because they have lots of running races. So I
Really?
did running races for training for triathlon. So they have the Banana Man 5K where
okay.
I got second place,
Yeah.
and I got like a year supply of Jamba Juice. It was like the prize. So like we were going to Jamba Juice all the time getting, they have all kinds of running races, and they have the Honolulu Marathon.
Right.
So I did the Honolulu Marathon. I'm like, okay, well, I can run a half marathon. That's not
right.
So I'll do a marathon. So I did a marathon. So the endurance game was what I started to become known for. A friend was like, hey man, like I'm doing this ultra marathon.
Right.
And this is like earlier, maybe August. He's like, hey, I'm going to do this ultra marathon in October.
In Hawaii?
In Hawaii.
Okay.
They asked the Peacock Ass Kicker is what it's called. And he's like, would you come out? Would you want to run it with me and be my pace man? I'm like, okay, yeah, like great, sure, no big deal. So I contacted the race director because it was sold out. I'm like, hey, like my buddy wants me to race this with him. Is there any way I can get into it? He's like, well, to get in this race, you got to qualify for it. I was like, or run a qualifying race. You have to run another race to prove that you have the ability to actually run this race because it's so hard. I'm like, okay.
When you say another race, a different ultra?
Yeah.
So you had to do an ultra to get into an ultra?
Yeah.
Okay.
So I'm like, okay. I'm like, when is a qualifying race? He's like, this weekend. And I'm like, excuse me? He's like, yeah, this is like Monday. He's like, is this weekend? I'm like, okay. It was a 50K. And I'm like, I mean, I was like, that sucks because it says it's sold out. He's like, I'll send you a link. You can still register and you can run. He's like, and if you do well enough in this one, we will let you
Okay.
sign up for the Peacock Ass Kicker. So on 5 days notice, I go run a 50K.
Yeah.
And I do fairly well. Like I didn't place very high because I've been training for it.
Right.
So do well enough. He's like, okay, yes, you can run in the Peacock.
Yeah.
And
is this a full road race or is there a trail also?
Trail.
Oh, okay, trail.
Yeah,
All right.
100% trail.
Okay.
Which one you talking about? The first one or the other one? The Peacock?
Both.
Yeah, both are trail.
Okay.
The first one had about 8,000 feet of elevation. The Peacock Ass Kicker, it almost had 13,000 feet.
Ooh.
So we were going to be op 4 for the other brigade training up to go to JRTC. So in Hawaii, they do what they call Lightning Forge.
Right.
So it's like a big force on force scale thing before they go to JRTC to get ready.
Practice. Yep.
Well, they had shifted the dates.
Oh, no.
So the race was now in the middle of this big lightning. Well, my buddy was a captain, and he was like part of like the battalion FU ops and KU ops. So like he was really involved in the planning. He's like, hey brother, he's like, I can't do the race anymore. And I was like, okay, great. I was like, I'm still gonna do it. And so we're in the middle of this lightning forge. My company is like the one in the captive, like the final objective or whatever. My company is there. And we set up our defenses, we're ready to go, and it's time for my race. So I literally leave. I leave that night. I sleep in my bed. I wake up the next morning. I run this 56-mile race.
It's a 56-miler?
56-miler. Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah. So I run the 56-mile race. I get 3rd or 4th overall. I can't remember.
Right.
So I did well, and then I literally go sleep in my bed, and then I go back out to the field, just in time for, the enemy to come. And I told my commander, I was like, "Hey, sir, like, give me 240, give me an RPG.
Yeah.
First Sergeant dies right here. Like, First Sergeant's not going anywhere. First Sergeant's not running. Like, I'm chafed from running and stuff. Like, I'm gonna die right here. I'm just gonna do my last stand. This is it. Just leave me like 2 guys and enough ammo for me to hold them off. Yeah, like I'm done."
So have you ever read or listened to the David Goggins story? That's it. Very similar to his. Like he did the same, and it's funny.
Like his 24-hour race that he had no.
Yeah, like so, and it's funny, and maybe you see this too. In our career field, being a service member, we will just go and do the craziest stuff at the and it's like that. I don't care what anybody says. Like we are a different, like, and I say we, I mean, just in general, a different type of person because of like, I mean, I'm trying to think about, like, I remember my group, we did but my first time I ever did a half marathon, it was kind of similar to that. It's like, hey, we signed up for a half marathon. Let's just go do it. So it's just funny how you did that. And then I see it all the time. And no wonder why we're so marketable on the outside, because there's dedication, there's heart, there's drive, there's a will, there's a better me. And that's where I got from you. So that was your first ultra. Your second one. Did you do a bunch more after that? Because I know you just recently did one.
I did. I can't remember what I did after that. No, because I think we PCS shortly after that.
Yeah.
Yeah, as a matter of fact, yes, because I remember standing. No, it was a little after that.
Yeah.
We ended up PCSing again to Fort Benning.
Right.
Where I was there for. And then Ultra, I was there.
Okay.
And then obviously I did like the Ultimate Ultra with the Best Ranger competition.
The Ultimate Ultra.
Yeah, and then
would you call it that?
COVID kind of screwed up a lot of that stuff too, because it canceled a lot of races for 2020 that I had lined up.
Yeah. At this point, and this is where I learned about being an ambassador for a company and stuff like that. And I learned that from you. Like you taught me the ropes on that. And I'm kind of excited about the road ahead because this is my first year doing it. Were you with Slayer then?
No, I didn't meet Slayer until Georgia, because they're stationed out of Georgia.
Okay. Were you doing any ambassadorships or anything?
So actually, I started with, well, they're called Live Momentous now.
Okay.
but it used to be Amp Human.
Oh, the cream that you gave
But
me.
way back then, they were called Tropical Edge.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Are they out of Hawaii?
No.
Oh, that's just weird.
They changed the name because it was very deceiving. But I'd done some stuff with them, and because they were there at the Ironman Championships on Kona, they were doing some marketing stuff while they were there.
Right.
And so they flew me over to Kona for a week. And I just like I did photo shoots and all kinds of stuff for them for a week.
No way.
Do that. And then there was a company called Alt Red or Sir.
Okay.
I've
looked them up.
I got them with them there towards the end of my time in Hawaii.
You've been with them for a while though.
5 years, yeah.
5 years. Okay. And so can you kind of explain like what, because I know what it is, right? And I've seen it, but like as the audience listens and they listen to what you have to say, can you explain what being an ambassador is, like what it consists of?
Okay. So essentially, no one cares about a professional athlete anymore.
No.
They don't care that a professional athlete wears a pair of Nike Metcons.
Yeah.
They don't care, right?
Right.
Great. You paid, Matt Frazier however much money to put his name on Frazier 9.0 or whatever it is.
Yeah.
Like, great. He's a great athlete. Don't get me wrong.
By far, yeah.
But no one really cares because they are well beyond anything
Yeah.
that most of us are in our lives are going to achieve.
Right.
Right. But what gets people interested or intrigues people's interest enough to try a product is seeing some regular Joe Schmo like me or you who tries a product. It's actually really good, right? And it does what it's supposed to do. You like it. And like they know we're not being paid to just, they're not giving me $500 a month to be like, hey, just slap this on all your crap and say it because, it is what it is.
Yeah.
Like when it comes from, what they call ambassadors, it's real. Like these people aren't getting paid money. They're literally, they believe in a product and it benefits the company because essentially it's free marketing.
Right.
Because now they have this huge plethora of, people they can get their product to that they would never get to anywhere.
So how many different companies are you working with right now?
So I obviously work with Slayer.
Yep.
Sir.
Okay.
And then in an unofficial capacity, like, I kind of help Absolute Black.
Okay.
A Squared Bikes.
What's the new bike one?
Or cycling.
Or cycling.
Sorry, I'm on the race team.
The bags.
And then King Kong bags.
Right?
Those would be the big ones.
Yeah.
Ones I kind of tag everywhere.
Yeah. Do you feel like that's in a sense, that's the direction athletes should seek the advice of every day, right? You say?
I would. Yeah. Like, I mean, like if that's the great thing about social media is like, you typically end up following people who are very similar to you. They believe the same way you do.
Right.
They participate in the same kind of activities you do.
Right.
So if you see like a regular Joe Schmo that's wearing, drinking some kind of protein, like, hey bro, like I've been using this protein powder and it's great. Like I like it. There's probably a little more viability in that than Arnold Schwarzenegger coming up and be like, this formula is the best. Like, oh really, man? Like I feel like you built your kingdom on other things other than this protein powder. So
yeah.
I feel like there's more validity coming from a normal person.
Yeah. And to me, it's like once I learned these things about you, and then I started applying to the ones that I've tried. Right. So it's funny to kind of give everybody a story. You had requested from Slayer. I actually have a bottle right there from Slayer, and we're not like doing an advertising for it. We're just having to talk about. You requested, hey, give me some samples. And you thought they were going to send you samples.
Yeah, I thought I was going to get a few little bitty sample packs just to like hand out ones.
But it wasn't.
No.
It was like full on,
massive.
Yeah. And you gave a few of us, we've all tried it. And that's how it got me hooked. Like, I was like, this is good. Like this, I mean, it's got some flavor to it. It's giving me all the nutrients I need. Like there were certain things about it. And I was like, okay, this makes sense now, But you look at this, right? So Justin, we go all the way back. We look back at the kid that ran into the side of the trailer on his bicycle, who now runs races on bicycles. Or we look back to some other mistakes, and we look at the person you are now. And to say that you actually made it you kind of made a goal without making a goal to make yourself better. So what are you doing now? Because I know you do, and that's why I'm asking. What are you doing now to help others to do the same thing?
Well, so again, like it goes back to when I unconsciously made the decision to start riding my bike so I didn't have to run anymore. So my laziness.
It sounds familiar. That's why.
So my absolute laziness turned into my physical ability started to improve.
Right.
Obviously.
Yeah.
Right. So other people similar to me, right? Other
Right.
ranger instructors who weren't really into fitness, who didn't really like running all that, like they started to like, because like I would start running the 5 miler, like running crazy fast times. And they're like, I never see you run. I'm like, because I don't ever run. Like I'm telling you right now. So I'd be like, okay, like I was like, they're like, are you really like getting that much better from mountain biking? I'm like, yeah, like I helped a bike shop sell like 5 or 6 bikes like that year.
Wow.
Yeah, because like other ranger instructors would be like, oh my, if he can just ride a bike and get better, then I'm going to buy a bike and start getting better. So
right.
Me doing what I was doing and getting physically better started to show other people like, okay, well, it doesn't take a lot for me to get better. So it really started there. And then when I got to Hawaii, right? So I was a platoon sergeant, like, and I had a little bit better fitness, which is atypical for.
Yeah, especially in your world.
Yeah, especially in my world. Like usually the older guy's not the guy in the best shape, but I was probably, there's probably 1 or 2 guys who were better than I was because they're just young studs.
Right.
But that kind of irked me because I wasn't really.
And it drove you.
Letting anybody else be better than me. But I kept working on my fitness and like, you could see the other soldiers.
Right. Right.
Like the young soldiers like, holy cow, if, Sergeant First Class Kline over here can run the way he does and work out the way he does, like, why can't I do that?
Right.
So you kind of, almost by leading example, like other people started to do it. And then, and it's morphed into a gambit of more. And then like when I became a first sergeant, like you get more ability to do things outside of the norm.
Right. Right.
I started the First Sergeant Challenge and I put a board up and I was like,
sounds familiar.
Yeah. So I had like,
I did the same thing.
And again, I wasn't into the lifting yet. Right. It was still the endurance stuff. So I had like a 5K, 10K, half marathon, full marathon, one. And I put my time up there. I was like, hey, if you show me like the receipt to where you went and ran a race, I would give you a 3-day weekend.
Dang.
Yeah.
And
I was like, if you beat my time, which I knew was never going to happen, I was like, I'll give you 2 4-day weekends. It was just in an
Did you have any? Oh, did anybody ever beat you?
No, everybody.
What?
Yeah, no.
This is ridiculous.
So
there's a challenge out there.
Yeah. So it was all just, I knew that if they signed up for a race for a 3-day weekend,
right,
they were going to train for it.
Okay.
So just by giving them a 3-day weekend, I might actually encourage people to go out and run more and get better physically fit. And if they really wanted 2 4-day weekends, like they're really going to train hard. So a little carrot, got a lot of, back end off of it.
Right. Yeah. That to me, and that's kind of the direction to go. Like you can't force, like say, oh yeah, do more push-ups. Like that's not how it works. You've got to get people involved and get people to understand it. And you're doing a lot of things across social media constantly. You put up videos, you put a lot of content out. I noticed it the first time we worked out together. I was like, what is he doing? Like you started taking pictures. I was like, what is he doing? And then I realized, oh, well, you have people that are following you that are around. Matter of fact, you told me a quick story about being here and somebody ran into you and he's like, oh, you're the guy from blah.
Yeah. Like we're literally in Walmart. Like we just got here. We hadn't been here. I don't know. I think we were still living in the hotel.
Right.
And we're just, I think we were buying toilet paper or something just completely random.
Right.
And this dude walks up and he's like, are you Justin Kline? And I'm like,
you thought you were about to get served?
I'm like,
those 14 felonies are coming back.
Yeah,
you're getting served.
I'm like, yeah, because soldiers recognize you from wherever.
Yeah,
and like, you don't always recognize their face. And I'm looking at this kid like, I'm good with faces. Like, if you told me, do you know so and so? I'll be like, I have no idea. But if I see their face, typically I'd be like, I know that guy from this place.
Yeah,
I may not remember his name, but I remember the person.
Yeah, I did.
Right?
I'm the same way.
And like, he's just drawn a blank.
Right.
And I'm like, yeah. He's like, oh man, I follow you on Instagram. And I was like, and immediately clicks like, I have no idea who this kid is.
Yeah.
Like, but he follows me.
Right.
And he's wherever, like, your content's great. I follow it and it's inspirational. Like, hey man, that's great. Thanks. I was like, if you ever, I'm like, if you ever have any questions or you need help, just, reach out to me.
That's awesome.
But, I was just like, that's one of those realization moments. And again, it kind of ties back to what we're talking to. Like through my sheer utter I want free stuff kind of thing, where I started doing the
Yeah.
ambassador stuff.
Yeah.
I started doing the more social media, and that's where I really started noticing
Yeah.
that people do follow.
Right.
People keep track of you, and what you're doing
Yeah.
does influence them.
Yeah.
And
And
whether you know it or not.
and what people don't realize, you can't just fake that.
Mm.
You have to actually be doing the stuff, putting in the work. And it can be tough. How many days have you woke up in the morning and you said, I don't want to do this, but you still do it?
A lot. And it honestly, it helps me because like I will wake up some mornings and I'll be like,
Mm-hmm.
I'll look at my watch and I'm like,
Yeah.
and I think there's somebody out there who's looking for me to do a post. They're looking to see whether they're a hater and they're waiting for that opportunity,
Well,
right?
and
to
that
be
does
like,
happen.
oh, he didn't wake up today. He's a piece of crap.
Yeah.
Or if it's that person who needed some motivation when they
Yeah.
end up scrolling through their their Instagram while they're sitting on the toilet in the morning, and they happen to see,
You described me.
Justin got out there again and he's working out more. I guess I got to go work out now because he's doing it. Whether it's, what I'm saying? Like,
Wait, no, you just described me because I'm the one sitting on the toilet. Like, I'm the first like he usually gets in the morning. Because it's usually right before he comes to pick me up, before I got hurt, that we would go ride bikes or we go running or whatever. Like, I would see a post and I'd be like, oh, crap. And I'm usually on the toilet. Okay, like it. It's funny. But it's not. So what you just said, you gave two different types of people. You gave the hater type, and you gave the motivation type. And knowing you and understanding, like, and getting to know you since we met July, right? About around there. It's the number two person that helps you get up in the morning and do that more than that number one, that hater.
yeah, I mean, the haters are who they are.
That's what it is.
It's what it is.
Yeah. So would you definitely would consider you've done over the years, you've tried to make a better you. And so with that being said, because we're going to have to round out the show at some point, my question to you is, and maybe you answer this in a long form, short form, whatever it is, we can only stay in the Army for so long, right? When you said, hey, this time I want to retire at X. What does life look like for Justin Kline after retiring from the service?
When I have to grow up?
That's what I've said. Like, I have to go get a real job? This is nice.
I don't know. I honestly don't know. And it's weird. My favorite part, or my two favorite jobs that I've had while I've been in the Army, was when I was a range instructor. Is probably number one.
Okay.
And it's not just because of Delonica was fantastic, but the actual ability to directly influence a soldier, officer, or NCO, and teach them something that they're going to take away.
Yeah.
And knowing that whatever they teach, that when they leave, when they leave you, hopefully they're a better person, and somehow that is going to influence their sphere when they go back. So like you have this huge impact. Yeah. Right? The interaction I have with, whoever that platoon leader is for the day, or that impact, like it's the most rewarding. Like the job is terrible. Like you're walking for 30 hours, like you don't sleep, like it sucks, right? It's terrible.
Yeah.
But it's rewarding. And then, I've loved all my jobs, but when I was a first sergeant at Fort Benning, as much as I hated Fort Benning, it was the same impact. Like you knew that the company of soldiers, right?
Right.
Whatever influence you and your drill sergeants could have on those people, that they are going to go out to the force, and they are going to influence a large, and they're going everywhere. So like you have an impact on such a large portion of the Army that it's rewarding. So what I want to do after the Army, I want to be able to impact people still. And I think that's why I went and got my degree in physical fitness.
Right.
So that I can still influence, people through physical fitness. But I don't know.
It's a tough question. Yeah, it's funny.
I'm going to do.
Maybe
I'll be a Walmart greeter. I don't know.
You know, it's usually Walmart Greeter or be a GS or, something like that's what I always hear. But what you just said there, and it falls along the lines of our show. Like, it's about influence and everything. Like, you literally said it felt the best internally when I helped others, right? And you hear, like, we talk about Jocko, we listen to him. He often reflects that in how he does things, right? It's like, if we help others, and I don't know. I see where, like, I kind of see this pathway you're taking, and it does look like, hey, you're going to go out there and do something physical wise, and you're going to help people become a better me, but really that's, this kind of, I wanted to bring you on the show, kind of show your story a little bit, because I've brought you up before nonchalantly in the show. And then obviously you're on the social media with me, because of that and what I learned from you. And it was really the last time we hung out, like, as a group, because like our families have become pretty close over over this time we've met. And it was that idea that constantly strikes a chord with me of, you want to be a better person, not just for you though. It's not, some people will see it as selfish, but it's really not selfish. It's, I've got to be better me so I can help them. Like, I can't concentrate only on me. What I'm doing is I'm concentrating on me to make this person better. And that's what I enjoy. So people can catch you on all the platforms, right? So I know you're on Instagram. I know you're on Facebook for sure. Are you running a Twitter also?
Yeah.
You do? Okay. So if we were to throw out your handles, because I'm obviously going to put them on the screen underneath you as we go.
It's not my my personal training company's on Twitter. I'm not.
Okay.
Yeah.
And what is that?
Archangel Fitness.
Archangel Fitness. Okay. So I'll make sure I add those. I want to make sure the audience gets to see who you are. I mean, obviously there's a few people out there. We have some really diehard people that listen all the time. But that way, at least they can connect in somehow. But really, I just want to say thanks, man, for coming on, kind of doing this talk. And I kind of knew a lot of this stuff beforehand. That's why I wanted to have you on. But it's really, it's about you out there. If you're watching, you're listening, what are you doing to make a better you? And that's what we're looking for. That's what the conversation was, is, he took himself from this spot of being in trouble, doing all these things, and then made himself better, and he did it through physical activity. He did it like through a new mindset. Like your eating habits. I don't know how you do it. I can't do it. Like, you have this diet that you hold, and I'm just like, wow, like, it's impressive and it's good to hear. So I also tell you, as we kind of end off the show, I would just tell everyone, hey, give him a look, check him out on the different platforms. But with that, I definitely want to say thank you very much for listening. Thanks for watching. This was Justin Kline. The show's called A Better Me. And thank you very much. I'm Brian, Instinctive Influencers. Usually this is when Ed cracks a beer. I'm joking. No, I'm joking. He doesn't.